Hi there, plant-based pals. Welcome to another episode of Physician in the Kitchen. I'm your host, Dr. Monique, a board-certified family physician and founder of the brand Physician in the Kitchen. My passion is helping busy people discover, cook, and eat delicious plant-based foods, and my mission is to fix America's health one plate at a time. I'm so glad you joined me today because today is Viewer Appreciation Day. Today, I am making a recipe requested by one of my almost 8,000 viewers. So Mila323, this one is for you. You asked me how to make homemade tortilla and hard taco shells. A few weeks ago, my son and I did a video on my lentil taco recipe, and this question came from that. So just because we're using your question, if you send us your email information, we are going to send you an autographed free copy of my book, Doc Fix My Plate, The Physician in the Kitchen's Prescriptions for Your Healthy Meal Makeover. So you too can win a copy of my signed book. Be sure to email us your questions at info@physicianinthekitchen.net. And if we use your question on air, we will send you an autographed copy of the book. So not only is it Viewer Appreciation Day, it's also a twofer. I am going to be showing you how to make the tortillas and then turn those into crispy taco shells. And I'm also going to be doing a little bit of a product review with one of my new kitchen gadgets. So you want to stay tuned for that. Once I show you how easy it is to make tortillas and then turn those into taco shells, your mind will be blown. And once you make them yourself, you'll be sounding like a famous TV character who used to say, "Did I do that?" But before we get into that, be sure to do all the things. Click like, share, subscribe, and ring the notification bell so you never miss out on any of our plant-powered content. So, as I mentioned, several episodes ago, we did a demo, my son and I did a demo on how to make my lentil tacos. And I used store-bought shells. And listen, if you need to use store-bought shells, no judgment here. Just be sure you're getting those that are minimally processed, that don't have a lot of ingredients that you cannot pronounce. They really should just have the flour, maybe a little bit of salt, but really not a lot of other ingredients if you're using those tortillas or taco shells. So the question by Mila323, I really appreciate it because it got me thinking, I do enjoy making things from scratch when I can. And we're going to be making a dough, which I love to get in there and feel the dough with my hands. Kind of brings out my inner child when it's okay to play with your food. So it checks a lot of boxes for me. Plus, by making the ingredients or by making the recipe myself, I'm controlling the ingredients. I know what's going in there and I don't have to worry about any additives or preservatives or too much sodium. And because of that, I get to season these the way I want to. I like to build flavor from the bottom up of a recipe. So why not start with these tortillas that are then going to become taco shells? Why not bump up their flavor as well? So because these are eventually going to end up as taco shells, I'm going to season these with Mexican-inspired spices. But why stop there? Let's say you want to make a breakfast taco with scrambled tofu and some bell peppers. Maybe season your tortillas with a little bit of black lava salt, dried oregano, and smoked paprika. Or if you're really feeling froggy, make a dessert taco with maybe some roasted sweet potatoes and chocolate quinoa. Season your flour with some cinnamon, some nutmeg, and maybe a pinch of sugar. The sky is literally the limit. The other thing I like about this recipe is it lets me try out one of my latest gadgets, a tortilla press. So I am a little bit of a kitchen gadget junkie, not in recovery. So I will be using a cast iron tortilla press that I got just to see how it makes the tortillas. So you can use a rolling pin if you have one, that is perfectly fine. So you're also gonna get a little bit of a product review and I'm gonna do a comparison of which one I like better, the tortilla press versus rolling them out with a rolling pin. So one more thing before we get into everything. Today I am using a whole wheat flour, but of course if you're gluten-free, you would wanna use either corn flour or even like a chickpea flour or almond flour. I would, however, encourage you to Google those recipes to make sure that you get the proportion of water to flour just right so your tortillas turn out the way you want them to. Well, enough talking, let's get to cooking. Today's all-star lineup of ingredients is as follows: 2 cups of whole wheat, almost 1 cup of hot water, and my seasonings: kosher salt, chili powder, Mexican oregano, smoked paprika, onion powder, garlic powder, some turmeric for a little bit of color, and some cumin. You can also add in a splash of lime juice, maybe even some lime zest. But what you'll notice that's missing is oil. So this is actually an oil-free recipe that you may enjoy. And remember, a recipe is simply a really easy checklist of ingredients to prepare and eat. So make it your own. Okay, this recipe really could not be any simpler. We're going to simply add our spices into our flour, give it a mix, and then we're going to add in about half of the water. If you find that you've added too much water and it's too sticky, then just add in more flour, about a teaspoon at a time. Or if you find out, like me, it's a little too dry, just add in a little more water. And I'm just stirring this with the whisk just so I kind of hydrate that flour, and then I'm going to get in here with my hands. This smells really good, guys. Put in my weekly plug for smell-o-vision because I wish you could smell what I'm cooking. So this is just our tortillas. Just imagine when you put this with whatever you're going to be eating, if this already smells so good. Oh my goodness. So we're going to work this into a ball. So right now you can see it's still very sticky. It's sticking to my hands. So we don't want that. We want it to be where most of it is pretty much in a ball and not sticking to my fingers. So I just love playing with dough. I don't know. I think it just brings out my inner child. So combine everything. So this is still a little sticky. So I'm actually going to add a little more flour and work that in. You don't want to work your dough too much because you don't want your tortillas to be tough and chewy. So I'm going to add just a little bit of flour, give it one final good massage, and then we'll be done. So I'm going to add in about a teaspoon of flour. And your bowl should be pretty much clean. Shouldn't have a lot of dough sticking to the bottom of your bowl. And you can see that it's not as sticky as it was. I'm gonna work it just a little more to get it the right consistency. A little more flour. And then we're gonna let our dough rest for a few minutes. See how that turmeric has turned it a beautiful golden color? Kind of looks like corn flour, even though it's not. All right, so we're just working that dough, and I can feel it getting to the texture that I want it. You know, you can certainly do this with a stand mixer, but I like to feel my dough and kind of get to know when it's getting to the point where I want it to be. So this looks good. So see how I'm gonna wash my hands and then pull some off so you can see that it's the texture that I want it to be. Okay, so I'd say you want to knead your dough for maybe about 3 to 5 minutes, not too terribly long. And then as you see, when I pull it apart, not a whole lot is sticking to my fingers. So that's the way I want my dough. So now I'm going to cover this and just let it rest for about 3 to 5 minutes to let that gluten relax a little more. And then we will roll them out. So while my dough is resting, let's take a look at the tortilla press that I got that I'm going to be using a comparison with the rolling pin to see which tortilla comes out better. Okay, so here is my cast iron tortilla press, and you can use this to make any other kind of flatbread like naan or just maybe a flatbread pizza. But what you want to do is make sure that you have something covering the surface before you put your dough balls on here. So the instruction manual suggests cutting a sandwich bag into 2 pieces. And basically what I'm going to do is just sandwich the dough ball in between these pieces of plastic. And this is going to make 8-inch tortillas. So we'll do about maybe half of the batch using the press and half using my handy dandy rolling pin. So now we're going to give this cast iron press a try. Okay, so we're just gonna roll this into a nice ball, put this in the middle, cover it with another piece of plastic. You could probably also do this with parchment or wax paper. Press down, and this is supposed to give me an 8-inch disc. Let's see. Oh, not quite. So it's not quite as big as what I got when I rolled it out. What's up with that? So when I get my ruler, this is about 6.5. Where's my other 1.5 inches? I got cheated. I was robbed. So maybe if I turn it, you know, maybe if you turn it like you do when you're rolling it out. Let's see. I don't remember reading that in the manual, but that does get bigger. So, a little bit. Let's go ahead and pop this on the grill. So, I'm not sure that I'm a fan of this bit just because the way this plastic is sticking, or the way, the dough is sticking to the plastic. And it's coming off, but it's leaving a little bit of my dough on the plastic. Came out smaller, came off kind of rough. So for the next one, I'm gonna switch and try the parchment paper and see if that gives me better results. Okay, so the plastic that the instruction booklet recommended didn't work that great for me. So I'm switching over to parchment paper. So let's see if I have better luck and they come out bigger and easier with this one. I really need my gadget to work for me, so keep your fingers crossed, guys. So first pass still kind of small. So what I'm gonna do is turn it. So this is not living up to 8 inches at all. Maybe I need to adjust my spring or something. I'm not sure. But at least it's coming off of the paper easier than it did off the plastic. So definitely like that, but that's actually nowhere near 8 inches. So back to the old rolling pin. So I will admit, using a rolling pin is not my favorite thing to do in the kitchen. So I was really hoping that that press was going to work out for me, but c'est la vie. But this is still a great activity to do in the kitchen with the kiddos. Again, you get to play with your food, get your hands in that dough, work with it, knead it, roll it, portion it out, and then knead it, portion it out, and then roll it out. So the kiddos will definitely get a kick out of it and spend some quality time. And not only that, you get to work on math because they're making fractions. So it's a win-win. To get my tortillas the right size, it seems to be the rolling pin for the win. If you guys have any suggestions, if you've used this tortilla press before and you guys have any suggestions, please send me a message. Let me know. Maybe it's user error, but based on what the manual said, it really should be fairly straightforward. So, womp womp. Hey, if this is the only gadget that I have not found useful, my track record is still pretty good. As you can see, it really doesn't take long to roll out your tortillas. And just because I am somewhat of a perfectionist, let me get my ruler. And that's right at 8 inches. So, and about 7 on the other side. So, not a completely perfect circle, but that's okay. Before I put it on my griddle, I am gonna wipe off the flour. Can't have ashy tortillas. Now, and this is an extra step. If you're not using the turmeric, you won't have to do this because it's gonna be, white anyway. This is just an extra step because I use turmeric and I just don't want that white on there. Okay, so my griddle is nice and hot. I'm gonna just put this on here. As you see, I'm not using any oil here either. So this is a 100% oil-free recipe. And all I'm looking for is for my bubbles to start forming. So if you've made pancakes, very similar process. And once the bubbles form, that's when I know it's time to flip it over. So you can see they are starting to puff up. And when I go to lift it, it releases easily. And there's my tortilla. I love those grill marks. So it's a little white from the flour that I used to roll it out, but you get the idea. All right, so now all of our tortillas have been rolled out and cooked up on our griddle, and I've kept them in here so they're nice and soft, nice and bendable. But I do want to just show you, these are the ones that I rolled out by hand, and this is the one from the press. So as you can see, much bigger doing it by hand. All right, so the next and final step is turning these into our taco shells. But if you wanted to stop here and just, again, store these, what I would do is just put a piece of parchment paper in between each one and put them in, let them cool down a little bit, put the parchment paper in between, and then go ahead and put them in a Ziploc bag and get all the air out. But we're gonna go ahead and turn these into taco shells, so let's go ahead and over to our air fryer. Okay, so I've already preheated my air fryer to 375, and what I'm gonna do next is just drape my warm tortillas over the rungs of the rack, and that way they'll mold into the shape of a hard taco shell. Now, of course, you want to be careful, use tongs, use mitts so that you don't burn yourself. So you can drape them over, since these are larger, I'm going to drape these over two, and that way I'll get the flat bottom taco shell. And you want to make sure that your sides are even so that you don't have a higher edge on one side. So you see how soft these are. So because I'm using my air fryer, which is a lot smaller, of course, than my oven, I'm not going to make too many of these. And you want to be careful, you want to leave some space so that they don't harden, and then you won't be able to get your filling into your taco. So be mindful of that as well. I'll make another square bottom one. Okay, so this one's a little smaller. Actually, that's about the same size. So just draping these on here, okay? And I've got room for one more, and I'll do a regular taco. All right, so these are gonna go back in, or go in rather, and I want you to see how I've got space. I don't want them to bake and then I won't be able to get my filling in there, so that's important. Okay, so we'll let these cook for about 5 minutes and they should be good to go. Okay, so while our taco shells are crisping up, let me show you what you can also do with your tortillas. So I've got these cute little taco bowl molds. So you can take a pliable tortilla, fold it into the mold here and bake these for a few minutes, and then you'll have your taco bowl shells. However, if you don't have these cute little things, fret not, because if you've got a muffin pan, simply flip it over and then press your tortilla in between the cups, the bottom of the cups on the outer part. And you pop that into your oven and you've got a taco bowl. You can also make your own tortilla chips by simply cutting this into eighths and air frying them for about 10 minutes or so at 375, and then you've got your own tortillas. So lots of different uses for your homemade tortilla. If you don't want to make your own tortilla, you can certainly get store-bought ones. Just make sure again that they don't have a lot of additives or extra ingredients, and that they pretty much are just the flour, water, and a little bit of salt. Okay, so it's been about 5 minutes. I'm gonna go ahead and take these out and let them finish cooling outside, and they're gonna continue to crisp up even more. Okay, so here we have our homemade crispy taco shells. So when I took them out of the air fryer, I went ahead and I put a knife in the bottom of them because I didn't want them to fold over on themselves completely, and then that way I wouldn't be able to stuff them. So the knife was just kind of a placeholder to keep it propped open. And as you can see, these are actually a nice size, so really nice size taco. That one split a little bit, but that's okay. And then these are how my hard bottom ones, or my flat bottom ones turned out. If some of them come out not quite as pretty as you like, You know what? Don't even sweat it. Just break them into pieces and make a deconstructed taco salad or even some vegan nachos with them. So now let's give it a taste test. All right, guys, I've been telling you how good these things have smelled all while I've been cooking them. So now it's time for the true test. Let's see how crispy they are and how tasty. There's the crunch. And there's the taste. I taste Mexican oregano. I taste the cumin, a little bit of the garlic. So there you have it, folks. Oil-free, whole wheat tortillas and taco shells, crispy taco shells. So thank you, Myla323, for the question. You can make these with store-bought tortillas as well. Just get the ones that are least processed without a lot of added ingredients. I would store these in an airtight container at room temperature for up to a week or so, but you want to be sure to use these pretty quickly because they're not made with preservatives, so you want to use them sooner than later. So if you want to try your hand at this recipe, go ahead and tag me at Physician in the Kitchen on all the socials and let me know how it turned out for you. If you want some other plant-inspired recipes, be sure to grab a copy of my book, Doc Fix My Plate, The Physician in the Kitchen's Prescriptions for Your Healthy Meal Makeover. I hope you enjoyed this as much as I enjoyed making it. We also did a little bit of a product review, and I realized that one gadget, the tortilla press, didn't really work out as well for me. So rolling pin it is. But however you get there, as long as you enjoy the journey and enjoy your whole wheat oil-free tortillas. Until next time, I'm Dr. Monique telling you to invest in your health one plate at a time and keep it 100. Plant-based, that is. Eat well.